Okay, hey folks, this is Ben Gessel. How's it going? This is part three of this train of thought here. The subject is again. There's a lot of things to cover here. So why do we keep eating the same stuff? Now the thing is that we're all a little different. Let me just go through some different um, some different kinds of people and some different inner kind of dialogue things. You see which one might apply more to you. So one person might say to themselves, "Ah, I have a really stressful job. I have a really stressful marriage. Or I have a really stressful life and I'm single, whatever it is. Um, I just feel like every day is a struggle to get through it. And when it's all over and done with, I just want to go to bed. And then it just starts all over again. One of the few things I have in life that's truly enjoyable in every way, shape, or form is my donuts, right? Or my pies, or my cake, or my whatever. You fill in the blanks. That's one kind of person, right? Another kind of person might say, "Oh man, I eat my salads every day. I'm running all the time. I am fit, and I can punch through my fist through a brick wall, and I've really low blood sugar. Uh, and I am just like I am eating my vegetables, and I like my fruits a little bit. And I'm watching, I'm eating my beans. I'm like, how dare you talk to me about, you don't know anything, Or, the varieties being the vegan extreme end or the carnivore extreme end. I am super healthy. Wow, this is what I do. Wow. Okay, that's another type of person. This is the third type of person. I just cannot afford anything more expensive than an orange right now. I'm dirt poor. I'm not going to plan on being dirt poor the rest of my life. But what you're talking about, Ben, it's just not an option right now for me. So I have to stick with my cheap stuff. And when it comes to cheap stuff, honestly, the tastiest things that I can have that are cheap are my candy and my juice and my burgers and fries and my soda. And I'll have some healthy food, but I can't afford all that grass-fed meat and wild-caught fish and the berries and the nuts, and that's just out, right? That is out. That's the third type of person. Very legitimate thing to mention. Even more than the second person, right? In many respects. Oh yes. Then there's no type of person. No type of person says, "Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. This is my diet. This is how things are going. Feeling good. Never sick. I'm not saying my diet is amazing. Just maybe this is just too in depth for me. This is a little too much. I'm doing fine. No, 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 no. Ah, what could go wrong? What Yeah, I'm fine. Right? Hey, everything might be indeed just fine. I I don't know. I wouldn't know. Just that's another way of thinking about this stuff, right? Not saying it's any better or any worse than the other trains of thought, but it is something that we might think we might identify with that fourth person, right? Fifth way of looking at this stuff. I am so busy right now. I'm so active, physically active. I am all over. I'm just driving everywhere. I'm doing everything. I have only so much time in the day to devote to my little salad. It's a baked salad. I don't even have time to make a salad. I have barely have enough time to get some eggs in, and I have to zip off to some other thing. I just cannot. I cannot. I don't have the time or the energy to spend on this subject. No offense. I'm I'm sure I'm fine. Peace out, right? Fifth kind of person. Really, really busy. He's too busy, right? He's just too busy. Okay. Yeah. No, person. By the way, I'm not saying any one of these five people so far. I'm not saying that I'm unlike any of these five people, or I should say, unlike these five ways of thinking. I'm not saying I'm separate from all this. I'm just saying these are things that many of us are thinking. Right? His sixth person, sixth way of thinking about this. Oh, I just I have my favorite foods. I don't like to mess with my mojo, and it's a part of my life. Food is a big part of my life, and these foods have meaning for me. And I feel like if I eat other foods, I'm being disloyal to my parents, my grandparents, or I'm maybe I miss being a kid. I just miss having candy like when I was a kid, so I want to have like a kid again. Or just I gotta have my cherries, man. And cherries are healthy, right? And, my oranges, my grapes. Or I gotta have my chocolate. Gotta have my pizza ice cream. I gotta have oh man, I gotta have my little ho hos. Whatever it is, I gotta have this. No, don't tell me I can't have it. I gotta have it. No. Okay, fine. I'll go. I won't have it for a week. How's that? Then I'll go back to it, right? There. By the way, this can be a lot smaller, less extreme version of this, or a more extreme version of this. What am I at? Seventh different way of looking at this stuff. Seventh different way. Um, I just don't think about it. I eat. I eat what er, I get my meat. I get my potato or my starch. I get my vegetable. Everything's squared away, right? Just when I was like when I was in the armed forces. I don't think about it. I got other things to think about. It's done. Boom. We're done. Bye. Right. Okay. No matter which one of these types of people you might fall under more, which one, whatever it is that you connect with, there is one simple truth, right? There's one simple truth about life, and that is that there are indeed healthier and less healthy ways of living. And none of us can escape that. Let me repeat that one more time. There are healthier and there are less healthy ways of living. And none of us can escape that. Now, George Burns had amazing genetics. He smoked his whole life and he lived to his 90s. I have no idea how that happened. But that tobacco wasn't doing him any favors. But again, I have no idea. I just have no idea. How did the man do it? I don't know. So you do have those exceptions. But I'm not saying George Burns was not super healthy necessarily when he was older. You know, debatably. He's still alive. He's still very sharp and everything. Maybe he was doing other things. I'm just saying he would have been even healthier without the tobacco. But I don't want to criticize him too much. But the thing is I love George Burns. I love George Burns. But the thing is that again, it's just there are things that we can do to bring a higher quality of life into our lives. Nutrition is one of those things. And when we are locked into some way of being, and I truly do mean locked into that way of being. Why? Because of all these things. Because of we have a budget. We know it works. We have a familiar grocery store we go to. We have a routine that we do. We go do our grocery shopping on a certain day maybe, or whatever it is. We have people we need to feed. We have kids. Um, you know, our parents eat a certain way. We live in a certain country. These foods are available in this country. We have certain tastes. Sometimes it's nutrition things. We've got to have these foods because maybe feel like they're the only sources of these nutrients, right? No, one thing that people might be saying at this point is, well, Ben, you gotta have your favorite foods, right? You gotta, and this need to have variety, this need to have a lot of produce, vegetables. Hey, that seems a little weird, right? Or why don't you have more of these foods even? Why don't you have more beans? Why don't you have more mushrooms more often? And even more than you're eating now. Or how are you this pillar of the community, right? How are you this perfect person? And the thing is that I say, dude, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I do. I can't tell you how healthier I feel, even without not being super physically active. Just having a diet that's lower in sugar right now, somewhat low. I mean, definitely lower than the past. My landlord still tries to feed me stuff that's high. He, it's relentless, right? I deal with them on a daily basis. I deal with people that have way too many carbs. Refined carbs on a daily basis. If I was a hermit, or if I lived in some hippie community in California, maybe it'd be a little easier that way, right? It's unending, right? The being saturated with juice and sweets, and you just get tougher about it over time. You get more resilient. You get more, but he keeps bringing it. My landlord, just free stuff. That's just no, you know, Mr. Landlord, unless you're offering me just nuts, period, or Whole Foods, I probably shouldn't have very much of this. It could be dried fruit. No, dried fruit's too sugary, man. Both I don't know, especially my landlord, but I'm not saying that my way of dieting or my way of doing things is the best. I'm just saying I definitely notice a positive difference in my life having my blood sugar lower. You feel healthier. So, okay, okay. Let's talk about some things regarding just food now. That maybe again it's more in depth than I've talked about before. Frank Trufano he's doing this thing now I think is actually pretty cool. He takes his supplements very, very seriously, and he gets really high quality supplements. When I say high quality, I mean he actually gets the supplement on its own, liquid form. And I don't know. Like he's got to figure out like a science. You can watch Frank Trufano's channel if you want. He's a cool guy. He was a carnivore for a long time. Now he's doing something that's a little bit more of a mixed thing, right? Imagine that. Carnivore diet is not doing anybody any favors, man. It just no, no, man, no, no, no. So, um, why did I mention Frank? He's over in the New York City area. Oh yeah, it has to do with our perception of food versus we're actually taking into our bodies, and the whole experience, right? Well, so what do we need? What do we need to be healthy? Well, we need exercise, we need sleep, but we also need nutrients. We need healthy fats, we need complete proteins, and we need some initial carbs so that we can have some bursts of energy. Although carbs are not as required as proteins and healthy fats, especially proteins, we should be getting some of them in our diet as well. Because plant foods have those naturally occurring carbs, and they have all so just eat the whole plant food, right? And we need all these vitamins and minerals and bioflavonoids, phytochemicals, and all that stuff from produce. We need all that stuff, and we need fiber, and we need water. That's what we need to be healthy, just about. Um, and so, um, how do we know that we're actually getting those things in our bodies? Like, can we taste? Can we taste different nutrients? You can taste fat. You can taste carbs. Carbs will have some form of sweetness, maybe if it's ever so subtle. And I do mean subtle in some cases of carbs. And we have the protein, which is not really especially as appetizing, but we think about protein as being appetizing because maybe it's like we're thinking like meat stuff, which also has fat, which adds a lot to the flavor. But protein isn't necessarily bad tasting. It's just protein doesn't really have the appetizing qualities again that we might often think it does. But but we need it. We need it. But protein on its own is not sweet like carbs or rich like fats. But yeah, so to isolate protein on its own. Keep in mind quinoa has complete proteins, by the way. Quinoa tastes like a nut. I mean, not even as appetizing, right? So, okay. I could go through what all the different vitamins taste like. And Frank actually talks about tasting different minerals. He talks about taste of different minerals. When you eat whole foods, the reason why a lot of times we don't want to eat whole foods, there's a lot of reasons. Um, yes, it can be a little more expensive. You have to kind of have more of a budget allowance for some things like nuts and berries and things. We have to manage it. We should. In the case of some foods, we should try our best, right? Well, it's because so whole foods have minerals and vitamins and things in them that do affect the taste, but in very subtle ways that we're not always aware of. So it's very interesting to become more aware of those flavors, of those things in the food. What am I talking about? Let's get a little more specific here. So, what is the taste of copper like? Have you guys ever tasted copper? That probably doesn't sound very appetizing, does it? Well, copper would probably taste like copper. If you've ever, smelled a penny on a hot day, if you've licked a penny, you can kind of taste the copper. So, in some way, shape, or form, even though it's pure copper that you're tasting, um, when you eat those cashews or those peanuts, right, those things that are rich in copper, you're going to get some of that copper taste. Iron. What does iron taste? Well, have you tasted your own blood? Sucked at a cut that you just had? It's been bleeding. Gotta get that, But before you do that, you're kind of trying to get some of that blood off. Well, you're gonna taste the heme iron, and the taste of blood has, as part of that, iron, heme iron. So iron, is gonna. So when you eat beef, right? Eating that beef, that flavor of that beef isn't really all that far removed from what? Am I saying eating beef is like drinking human blood? No, but I'm saying that there's going to be a little bit of correlation there. You can definitely taste the heme iron in beef. It's very apparent, right? In vegetable iron in greens, you can kind of still taste it, but it's going to be a little bit different form, right? It's the same deal with all the other nutrients. All these minerals, you can't really taste them individual at times. You can probably taste sulfur. We know sulfurous vegetables have a sulfurous flavor to them, right? Yeah, of course. But instead of, so when you eat something that's mineral rich vitamins and things, it's not going to be a straight zing like a sugary candy type of thing. Or fruit juice is just like, oh yeah, right? It's not going to be this overwhelming, awesome flavor. It's going to be something a bit more complex and varied. Even something as amazing tasting as a Tayberry or a Queen Anne cherry from Pike Place Market or something, or like mandarin oranges, even something just like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for this, right? Or yeah, vanilla ice cream even, dark chocolate and stuff. It's these healthier, very sweet or very appetizing foods are still going to have nutrients to them, right? We know that they're healthy. We just know that maybe you just don't have bucket loads of them every single day. If it's just like a sugar, know. So it's like but we can tell the difference between a Mike and Ike and a grape, right? It's obvious. One has and you can't. It's like the taste of all these minerals. Sometimes, what the spinach family, or the beetroot, goosefoot family, right? Spinach and Swiss chard and stuff. You can say that they taste very earthy, beets and stuff. Well, what we're saying is, that it tastes like dirt. But we're saying that, they taste like the minerals. And that's a good thing. We know that we can taste the nutrition, and it isn't necessarily a bad taste. It just tastes like minerals, and it takes some getting used to. If especially if we're not having a very healthy diet, everything like this takes some getting used to. It takes some getting used to. Imagine going into the military. You don't have any time to get used to it. But either adapt or you leave, right? Maybe that's not the best example, but do you think that somebody who wants to be like the best fighter in the world, at least for their body size, frame, and weight, and whatever, do you think that happens overnight? Of course not. There's a lot of steps that happen in between that. Do you think how long does it take to be before someone's a concert pianist or a composer, film composer? It's like that. It's like that way with everything. It's like there are steps that you get to before you get to holy cow. Whoa. But most of us just want to have good, productive lives. We don't want to be Dr. Furman necessarily. We don't. I mean, Dr. Furman, he was a figure skater or something like that. He's quite fit. Yeah, he's getting a little bit older. It's not old. Anyway. He looks very young again for his age. But we perhaps are more content with being a bit more sedentary or having rounder bodies or whatever it is. Yeah, I get it. But it's like it's always a question of how content we are about something. Are we truly content with our lot in life, or do we want something different? It's always how it is in life, isn't it? If we are unhappy enough about something, we do something to change it, right? Yeah. So, I mentioned these 7 different people earlier in this video with 7 different trains of thought with nutrition. The people that tend to have that same way of thinking their entire lives, it hasn't, it's because their health, it hasn't affected them profoundly yet on some level. Something hasn't happened yet to really change whatever way they're thinking. Something hasn't happened yet, but it might not. And it's just, I think that's a good way of looking at this whole thing. It's like a 400-pound person, a 500-pound person, they'll have memories of what it was like to be much lighter and healthier. But and I'm saying this, who's healthy that's 400 pounds? Well, if you're Andre the Giant, maybe okay, but or something like that. But it's like 400 or 500. But most of us need to be under 300, right? And if we're big boys, muscly is one thing, but yeah, like under 250 for a lot of us, really. Anyway, so but it's like it takes time to get there, to get to that point. It takes effort. It's not easy. We need help. We need friends. We need a support system. We need to start changing our ways of thinking bit by bit. New habits. More of a oh man, you know what? Maybe no. Just I don't no, I don't need it. No, I appreciate you offering that to me. Nope, I don't need it. I know what the taste of chocolate is like. I know what the taste of orange juice is like. I know what the taste of, you fill in the blank. I know what that tastes like. If I haven't had it before, let me just have a little piece. If it tastes amazing, I might want more of it, but I might say maybe later, right? These, and then we can say, oh man, you know what? I gotta take care of my body. This is the only place I have to live. What do I need? I need this. What's my budget? What do I enjoy eating without having to throw up? What will make eating pleasurable or tolerable? Somewhere in between the two, right? We want it to be somewhere between tolerable to pleasurable. If we go beyond the pleasure point, that's almost like a drug, right? Sometimes though you can really make some you can really have some great meals, very good. But if it's healthy, it's all the better. But you don't want it to be nastier tasting than something that, if you want it to be something you can keep down without puking, right? So, having said all this, again, it's just that we're all imperfect people. We're trying to become better. We have to understand that, I think, whatever one of these trains of thought we tend to have more often, or if it's something else that I didn't mention, that if something can help us, if there's something that can truly help us to be healthier, you know, then it's truly something that can help us be healthier. If it's something we haven't heard before, if we've heard it before and we know we probably should do it, why not do it? And let's get out of the doldrums. Let's pull ourselves out of that. It's hard. Maybe just one thing at a one day at a time, one thing we do that's a little healthier at a time. Before we know it, a month has passed. It's 28 to 31 things we've done that's healthier. 2 or 3, 4 months pass. That's hundreds of things we've done that's healthier. At this point, we're probably starting to shed some weight. Let's do that. All right. You guys leave me thoughts and comments below. Catch you guys later.